भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणं भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणं भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणं भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम्।
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaskar. Today we shall dwell upon a very important and interesting topic, and that is Shreyas and Preyas. We find these two terms in the Shastra, and it is very well illustrated and mentioned in Kathopanishad, chapter 1, section 2 to be precise. Kathopanishad has dedicated the entire section 2 of chapter 1 to the discussion of Shreyas and Preyas. Understand that Shreyas and Preyas are two entirely different concepts and commitments in life. Both of this come in our life, and we have to choose from them. Let me mention at the outset that the success or the failure of our life depends upon what we choose, either Shreyas or Preyas. Since it is so pivotal to our life, it is of utmost importance that we very well understand what Shreyas is and what Preyas is, so that we can make the correct choice in our life. Because when we make the correct choices in life, well, our life is made. And so, let us now begin with understanding what Shreyas is. The word Shreyas refers to that which is absolutely good. Nishchitam Shreyah. In other words, the word Shreyah means moksha, meaning liberation. It also stands for the path leading to moksha, that is Atma Vidya or Brahma Vidya, which is the means for moksha. The word Shreyah also signifies all that is needed to prepare us for Atma Vidya, the knowledge of the truth. And all that is needed for Vidya is the path of righteousness, that is Dharma, Karma Yoga, Upasana, Bhakti, and all the varied spiritual disciplines and values. All of these get covered under the term Shreya. On the other hand, now let us see what Preyah means. The word Preyah signifies or refers to that which is albeit attractive, but it is something which arises, it is the pleasure or the joy that arises from the contact of the sense organs with sense objects. But the pleasure that arises from the contact of the sense objects with sense organs with sense objects is transient. It is temporary. So, Preyah stands for something that arises, for the pleasures that arises from the fickle and the transient pleasures of life. Shreyah, on the other hand, is something that is the very nature of the self. It is Nityah, plus it is not away from me, and it is unconditional. It is spontaneous. It is the very self. Preyah, on the other hand, refers to that which is conditional, meaning we have to pay a heavy price for Preyah, for gaining sensory pleasures of life. We have to pay dearly in terms of our time, our energy, and many other investments. Even after doing this, we are not guaranteed that we'll be deriving pleasure from it or not. And even if it comes, it is temporary, it is fickle. Plus, it dissipates my energy. So, Preyah is something which is away from me, which makes me dependent on the world outside. Plus, it is something which stands for the mithya, which means which is something which is apparent, not real. Plus, it is centered on the world outside. And one important thing is this, that Preyah entails short-term gain and long-term pain, whereas Shreyah is something which entails short-term pain and long-term gain. Understand this very well. Preyah calls for short-term gain and long-term pain, whereas in Preyah we find short-term pain but long-term gain. Plus, it is something which is centered upon the very self, and so in course of time it will make me independent. Plus, it is something which is satyam, the truth. So, this is what the words Shreyah and Preyah mean. Once again, we have to remind ourselves that both of this are totally different from each other. Both of them are different commitments to life. Now, further, we shall see that having understood what Shreyah and Preyah mean, now let us look into the question that how does these two concepts, Shreyah and Preyah, affect my life? What is the role played by them in my life? Meaning, how do they control my life? Is my life controlled by Shreyah, or is my life controlled by Preyah? This is something that we need to know. So, as Kathopanishad says, Shreyascha Preyascha Manushya Metah, which means both Shreyah and Preyah come in our life, meaning that there is possibility of both Shreyah and Preyah arising in our lives. Both of them appear in our life. Let me give you a very common example, just to understand how both of this, Shreyas and Preyas, approach us. To give you a very ordinary example, say for instance, what should I have for dinner? Should I have healthy food, or should I go for junk food like pizzas or burger? There is this choice before me. Either I have the healthy food, say khichdi and things like that, or I go for junk food. Opting for healthy food would be Shreyas, because it would suit my health and fitness. Opting for the junk food would mean my health will be at risk with all the blood sugar and cholesterol levels that I have. It is not going to be beneficial to me. This is just an example. In this manner, Shreyas and Preyas, the possibilities for both of this arise in our life, and we have to make our choices every moment. Now, we have to understand that to be able to choose is human privilege. This privilege is something that we do not find in other species in the measure that human beings have. They do have freedom of choice, but in a very, very small measure. Whereas Ishvara has bestowed human being with this gift of free will, the privilege to choose. I am free to make my choices from the different courses open in our life. But as we all know, along with privileges comes responsibility. We are free to choose, but in keeping with our choices, of course, we have to be ready for the consequences. Understand that there is no choice in making a choice. And here begins the real test. What should I choose? How do I make my choice? Now, obviously, our choices depend upon our understanding of life. This is very, very important. We make choices, different choices, in keeping with our perception, our understanding of life. It is here that we need to pay attention. It is here that our intellect comes to play. Kathopanishad says very beautifully that when these choices, when these two courses, two options of Shreyas and Preyas appear before us, appear before a wise man, then what does he do? Tau samparitya vivinakti dhiraha. Shruti says a wise man or an intelligent person, a mature person will very well examine and analyze both Shreyas and Preyas. He will weigh them very well. He will weigh the pros and cons, what he chooses to gain by opting for one, and what he stands to lose by opting for other thing. All this is very well considered and pondered and deliberated by an intelligent person. An intelligent person, before making a choice or before adopting a course of life, would ask himself, what is it that I am really seeking from life? What is my life What is the purpose of life? What is it that I'm really craving? Is my desire for lasting happiness, is my craving for adequacy, fullness, being fulfilled by the world outside? Can the world give me what I really want? And he examines and analyzes the experiences of life. Right from the childhood, I have been fulfilling one desire after the other. But there has been no end to the desires. Temporarily, a desire, when fulfilled, gives me some happiness, some kick. But very soon, this desire is replaced by another desire, then another, and so on and so forth. This goes on. In this whole process, the desirer still remains intact. This shows that fulfilling different desires from the world outside doesn't seem to be the correct path. Then where lies the real happiness? He then may approach a teacher, may approach Shastra. This is how an intelligent person would think before making his choices. This is very well illustrated in Kathopanishad by the story of Nachiketa. As is very well known that Nachiketa was offered 3 boons by Yamaraja. In the third boon, Nachiketa opted for Brahma Vidya, Atma Vidya. And we all know that Yamaraja tried to tempt him with hordes of divine and worldly pleasures, to desist Nachiketa from demanding Brahma Vidya. Yamaraja, in fact, offered him a blank check, which Nachiketa could fill it with whatever he wanted. But Nachiketa remained steadfast in his choice of Brahma Vidya, in his choice of Shreyas. Yamaraja offered him all the wealth. He offered him damsels, chariots, clubbed with long life, clubbed with progeny, and all this. But this could not swerve Nachiketa from his choice of Shreyas, from his choice of Brahma Vidya. The reply that Nachiketa gave to Yamaraja is really brilliant, and it shows the kind of understanding, that the kind of crystal clear understanding of life and Shreyas that Nachiketa had. When he was offered all this, Nachiketa told or replied Yamaraja, the Lord of Death. He said, "O Lord of Death, all that you are offering me is Shvobhavaha. Shvobhavaha means we are not even sure whether they will be there tomorrow or not, which means they are transient, fickle. Plus, in the process of enjoying them, Sarvendriyanam Jarayanti Tejaha, which means in the process of enjoying them, they will deplete, they will dissipate all our energy, all the luster that we have of our sense organs and mind and intellect. Plus, the long life that you are offering me, api sarvam jivitam alpameva, the long life, however long life you may grant me, but still it is going to be finite, because it will be within time. Sooner or later it will come to an end, leaving me high and dry once again. And therefore, Nachiketa said, Tavaiva Vahas Tavanritya Gite. Please keep all this music and dances and instruments and all of that which you are offering to me, please keep it to yourself. I have no desire for it. In this manner, Nachiketa remained steadfast in his choice of Shreya, and the means for that, that is Brahma Vidya. This shows the kind of understanding, the crystal clear perception of life which Nachiketa enjoyed. Nachiketa, as we all know, is the personification of Vairagya. He is the personification of Viveka. When that is there, your choice is clear. There are number of such examples in the entire Shastra. If we look into Gita, we find that Arjuna also, having come to the battlefield to fight, all of a sudden realized the need for Shreya. He could see the limitations of all the material objects of life. He could see that they are all limited, no matter what you gain in life. Everything is limited. And he expressed his firm desire for Brahma Vidya, for Atma Vidya. He prayed before Lord Krishna to impart to him Yat Shreyasyat Nishchitam Tanme Bruhi. That which is Nishchitam Shreya, that which is definitely good, which means Shreya, please tell me about that. And that is how we have Bhagavad Gita from Lord Krishna. Similarly, to give you one more example, we find highly intelligent and mature wife of sage Yajnavalkya, that is Maitreyi. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, we find that when sage Yajnavalkya is about to take sannyasa, he offered his large share of wealth to Maitreyi. Maitreyi is asking him, Kim tenaham amrutasyamiti? She asked, will I become immortal by this wealth which you are offering me? Yajnavalkya said, no. Amrutatvasya nashasti vittena, which means, he said, Amrutatvasya, that is immortality, can never be gained by vitta, which means material things of life, by prayer. In that case, Maitreyi said, what will I do with them? I want nothing of it. And she also prayed from Brahma Vidya and learnt it from sage Yajnavalkya. In this manner, we find that all intelligent people, all mature people use their intellect, use their discerning power, Viveka Shakti, and choose Shreya, that which stands for the ultimate good. And then they pursue the path of Vidya to attain that ultimate good in themselves. On the other hand, Preyo Mando Yoga Kshema Drunite. Shreya, that is an intelligent person in this manner, chooses Shreya over Preya. Shreyo hi dhiro bhi preyaso vrunite, which means intelligent person chooses Shreya over Preya, makes his choice for Shreya. Whereas a dull-witted person, Preyo Mando Yoga Kshemad Vrunite. Shruti says, a dull-witted person, that is Mandaha, chooses Preya over Shreya out of his concern for temporary pleasures of life. Unfortunately, he cannot rise above the material things which are transitory. He cannot see anything beyond them. Eating, drinking, and making merry seems to be the goal of his life. And therefore, the natural choice is for Preya, that is the temporary, transient pleasures coming from the contacts of sense organs with sense objects, which are in reality, as Lord Krishna beautifully says in Bhagavad Gita, Yehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkha yonayah evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Lord Krishna says that the joys or the pleasures which arise from the contact of the sense organs with sense objects are nothing but the wombs of sorrow, wombs of unhappiness. They are subject to adyantavantah, which means they are subject to coming and going. Wise men do not revel in them. So it is very clear that those who cannot seriously give a thought to life as to what is really important, what is really nitya, what is important, what is immortal, and what is it that I really want from life, they make their choice of Preya. Whereas intelligent people, mature people, use their intellect and choose Shreya. But we cannot really blame people who opt for Preya, precisely because they have not still risen to that level. Their understanding is very limited. That is their perception of life. And that is why their obvious choice is for Preya. And that makes them pursue one object after the other and fulfill one desire after the other. And then in this manner, they get trapped. They get trapped in this unending chain of fulfilling one desire after the other. Life gets over in this way, and they remain deviated. They get deviated from the goal of life. This is the lot of those who do not think, those who do not make the choice of the intellect. As Arjuna said in Bhagavad Gita, he admitted that so far I have remained krupanaha, karpanya dosho pahatasvabhavaha, which means so far I did not really make use of my intellect. I did use it, but in acquiring artha and kama from the world outside, thinking that they will satisfy me, they will fulfill me. But they absolutely do not have the capacity to fulfill us, to give us lasting happiness, precisely because they do not contain it. They are jada, they are inert. The real joy, the real happiness is nowhere but in Atma, or the truth, which is the Satyam. But unfortunately, dull-witted people cannot think this far, and they make their choice of Preya. So, we have to understand that life is nothing but a series of choices. We have to make our choices every moment. It's not that at one time we sit and choose. No. The Shreya and Preya, which means the definitely good, the preferable, and the pleasant, and the attractive. That is Shreyas and Preyas. Every moment come before us mixed together. They are entwined, and we have to separate them, like a swan separates milk from the water. He separates Neera and Kshira. That is, there were such swans rather in Manas Sarovar in Kailas. These are the stories we find in Puranas. Similarly, Paramahamsa, this is the word we get from that. Paramahamsa is the one who separates, discriminates Nitya from Anitya, Satya from Mithya, the real from the apparent, the real from the unreal, and chooses the real, chooses the Satyam. This is what we are expected to do every moment. And thereby we will be charting, we will be making our destiny with our correct choices. This is what human life is meant for. But now a question may arise in our minds that if the correct choice to be made is that of Shreya, and that is beneficial, and that is something which is really going to help me, which is going to be like an elevator, just taking me upwards in the evolution, then why not? Why not everybody is making the choice of Shreya? Why do people go for temporary joys? Why do people make such choices? Why is it so difficult? Yes, this is a very important question. It is nothing but lack of understanding of life and its importance that makes one choose prayer. It's not that easy. It requires a lot of understanding. It requires lot of education, lot of samskaras, daivi samskaras, lot of satsanga, lot of courting company of wise people, courting the company of Shastra. All this is there. There is enough literature, enough wise men around us. At least literature is there. Intelligent people are there. Wise people are there. Let me approach them. Before making a choice, before taking an important turn in my life, let me approach them. Let me politely seek their counsel as to what is the correct, what is the truth in life. Let us read Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas, Bhagavad Gita, not to mention all the Upanishads and the Vedanta that we have. If we have some familiarity with all this, we'll be better off in making our choices. Otherwise, once an incorrect choice is made, we cannot escape the consequences. We have to face it. And afterwards, the tendency is such that one wrong choice leaves its samskaras upon us, and we tend to make similar choices, and the vicious circle begins. That is why one has to be very careful. One has to be very polite and be very careful that the choice that I'm going to make is going to have a very big impact on my life. This life is rare. It's not, this kind of human life is not something that we get it easily. Even if we know this much, we will take our life seriously. The decisions that we take in our life also seriously, so that we make a success of it. If we know the importance of this life, importance of satsanga, importance of righteousness, importance of all spiritual disciplines, importance of the teachings of the Shastra, then we'll be better off as far as making choice is concerned. Even in simple things, we have to be very careful. Say, for instance, our day begins with our choice of should I wake up early at dawn, or should I enjoy my slumber, sweet slumber, even after sunrise. Indeed, it is difficult to wake up early. It is very pleasing and inviting to continue to enjoy the sweet slumber, but then we know that we miss that best time. Whereas if we get up early, we can meditate, we can pray, we can do our exercises and whatnot. Our day begins in a very beautiful manner. Whereas once that time is lost, we miss everything. Similarly, with every such choices, wrong choices, we miss the boat of life. We miss the boat. It's not an ordinary thing. It's not a joke. This life is not a joke. We have to live it very intelligently, very carefully. That is why Shruti says that one who chooses Shreya sadhu bhavati, there is nothing but benefits and advantages and nothing but happiness, peace in his life. He proceeds in that path, whereas one who chooses Preya gets deviated from the goal of life. Ravana was a very intelligent person. He was a scholar, in fact, but he made incorrect choices. Every time he made an incorrect choice, went for Preya, got deviated step by step by step. And a time comes, you cannot help yourself. So, making correct choice is very, very important in life. To be very frank, for an intelligent person, for a mature person, for a cultured person who has lived life well, Shreya is a choiceless choice. Shreya, opting for Shreya is choiceless choice for him. Why? Because he cannot settle for anything less than the best. He sees what all is entailed in Preya and what all Shreya can give him, and so he naturally goes for Shreya. His calling is for Shreya. But if we do not use our intellect, if we are not mature enough, if we are just living on the surface, not using the gift that Vishwara has given us, we are using it, yes, we may be very sharp, worldly wise, but as far as the truth is concerned, righteousness is concerned, people make mistakes and lose their life. So, making correct choices is very important. Both of them, Shreya and Preya, approaches us. They come in our life. We have to separate them and choose Shreya over Preya. With this, so yes, this shows how important this topic is. And so, we can even pray to Ishvara to endow us, to grant us, to shower us with His grace, so that at every juncture, at every important juncture in my life, I make the correct choice. And that is why there is this beautiful prayer, Asato ma sadgamaya, Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, Mrityor ma amrutam gamaya. O Ishvara, you please help me. If this attitude is there, if this orientation is there, that perhaps I may not be able to do this, but if Ishvara showers His grace, and He definitely will if I pray, if my approach is correct, then prayer will also make the difference. In any way, we should always be very careful before making a choice, because in making the right choices, I make my life. I make my life successful in the true sense of the word. With this, I would like to conclude my talk on Shreyas and Preyas. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
भव शंकर देशिक मे शरणं, भव शंकर देशिक मे शरणं.